Hey guys, this is our balcony on our Airbnb in Hamburg, so you'll probably see me quite a bit here. I guess it's my YouTube studio whilst I'm in Europe. And I want to make a video off the back of a post that I wrote last night, because yesterday I was very much going over having an attitude of gratitude, and the benefit that has brought to my life is just unbelievable. I can't even comprehend not having that as a way of life for myself anymore. But things like having an attitude of gratitude always sounds like new age woo. It really does. People always think, oh, you know, being present-minded, living in the moment. It all sounds modern. It always sounds so modern, and it's not. It's not a modern concept. It's an ancient concept from those who were spiritually developed, because everybody comes to the same point as humans. We all have the same consciousness, the same anatomy, and we all know in the pursuit of finding a happy, joyous way of living, a fulfilling way of living, that it is only to be found in the present moment. In the Bible, in Thessalonians, there is a quote, and the quote is about praying unceasingly. I'll grab my phone so I get it exactly right. Hold on. So that quote is, "Rejoice always, pray without ceasing, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus for you." That's basically just said everything that I always go on about. And I think it's unbelievable because it's framed in such a romantic, gothical, almost influenced form of language that we don't quite grasp that that's what's going on. It's a very simple thing what's being taught here. In my recent video, I explained that being part of the Maasai has taught me that they are present-minded. They live in the now, and I used a quote from somebody, a writer called Sylvia Brown, to show that she felt this too, that the Maasai just live in the now. If you want to truly walk in a state of gratitude for your life, and you really want to give thanks for what God has given you, the only way you can do that is by praying unceasingly. And the only way you can pray unceasingly is not with words. I don't see any Christians walking down the street constantly going, "Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name." Like, that's not what's meant by this. Prayer is a union of intent and emotion and word and your energy to form a state of consciousness that is you functioning here and now in the space where you are truly alive. If you want to go outside today and be truly grateful, you have to go outside and you have to stop using your brain for anything other than receiving the information that your five senses is passing to it. You must not judge it, you must not perceive it's cold and that's bad, or it's cold and that's good. You just accept the feeling of cold with no label. When you get to that point and your brain is only accepting the input of the five senses, and you're not determining and you're not judging it as bad or good, then you're in a present-minded state, and you're here, you're now, you're just breathing and accepting what the senses is picking up from around you. At that point, you can start asking about what you're grateful for, because at that point you're here, you're now. You're not elsewhere. You're not wishing it was another now because it's too cold. You're not wishing it was a different. You're just accepting it. It's here, it's present, and it's happening. Then you can start looking at what you have that you're grateful for that you might not have realized you're grateful for. I have here in Hamburg an electric scooter that I can stand up on. You all know, because I've been sick with my mitochondria, I can't walk. So this has opened up huge mobility in my life to be here. I can go down the street with my wife and son. That was the first time in 12 months I could walk down the street with them, for all I was rolling on an electric scooter. And I hadn't realised how much I took for granted things like walking down the street. And it's an age-old adage. Everybody's heard it. You don't know what you've got until it's gone. And it's true, and I don't want to just cliche to tell you that, but it's absolutely the case. And I think until you become someone who's praying unceasingly, you might not become fully aware of that. And you might not realise the depth of the gratitude that you should hold. We can walk safely down the street here without anyone bothering myself or my wife. I couldn't do that in Tanzania. Guaranteed somebody would come, especially at night time. And it wouldn't be safe. I'd be on edge. I'd be armed probably as well, because I'm on edge when I'm there, because people don't leave you alone because you're different. You don't feel as safe there as what you do here. Also, people are less educated, so they run at you, they shout Mzungu at you, which means traveller or white person, and it's just terrible. I mean, you don't judge it though, but in Europe you wouldn't dream of shouting African at somebody who was walking down the street with you. But that's because we're all educated, so you can't judge it either, but it's just uncomfortable. But you don't even know when you're constantly here that you should be grateful for that. You don't know the streets are safe because you've often got no reflection unless you leave, unless you break out. And I think the only other way to ensure, if you're not constantly moving around into a world of parallels, is to live as Christianity instructed, to pray unceasingly. And the only way you can pray unceasingly is to have an empty mind and be present-minded. The only way to be a Christian, to pray unceasingly with all you have, with thanks and rejoicing with thanksgiving, is to live like a Maasai. It's the only way. These ancients were really showing you something that exists inside many cultures today. And in actual fact, the thing that pulls them away from it no longer exists there, because they are living in the now. I'm recording this after and cutting it in because I missed something important. I said in a recent video that in the Sumerian creation tablets they say that humans are neither alive nor dead. And I said within there it's because our consciousness retreats internally and we start worrying about past and future. And we are not here, we are not present, we are not just receiving the present moment into our senses. We are diluting it with our brain and with our labels and with our judgments and with our emotional attachment to how we perceive and judge it. We dilute the information, we segregate the happening which is here in front of us with all of these little labels and descriptions, and then by the time we experience it, there's something between us and it. There's something you put in between you and it makes you part of the dead version of the human that it's referencing. You're not physically dead, you're breathing, but you're dead to the present moment. And I think it's so important, because if you're dead to the present moment, you're judging, you're not grateful, you're not present-minded. But if you are instructed in Christianity to pray unceasingly, then that means that you have to be aware in the present moment, and you have to be present-minded. And of course, the Bible tells you very clearly that the God celebrated in the Bible is the God of the living and not the God of the dead. And thus, if you truly want to be having access to the God of the living and receiving love and messages from the God of the living, then you yourself need to ensure that you're living. And if you want to ensure that you're living, you have to pray unceasingly. And if you want to pray unceasingly, you've got to be present-minded. And you've got to be in a state of gratitude and in a state of joy and rejoicement for the gift of life that God has given you. And you should not walk down the street without giving thanks for something. And if you can walk down your street and you don't know what to give thanks for, from my perspective, hey, you can walk. Or, hey, it's safe for you to walk down the street. Or you've got someone to walk down with. Or whatever it might be. Just make sure that you find what it is that you're supposed to be grateful for in each moment. And then you too will be with the God of the living, and not the God of those who do not live, those who go into the chatter of the carnal mind. For the carnal mind is enmity to the laws of God, as it is written in the Bible. Big love. Bye. When you pray unceasingly with words, you cannot function in your life. But when you pray unceasingly with the gratitude and the love in your heart, you can only follow that instruction by being completely and totally present-minded in what you are doing. You can give thanks, and you can constantly hold on to the feeling of it having some meaning instead of it just being mindless repetition. And you can actually live your life in a way where you dedicate your every movement, even going to the shop, even taking your dog for a walk. You can dedicate that every movement as a way to give thanks for this amazing experience, a way to give thanks to our amazing God, and a way to give thanks for all of the things that you often become unconscious that you can be thankful for. You've got a screen, you can afford one to listen to me. You've got electricity. Start at the basics. I know people who don't have those things today. I know lots of children who would love to have access to those things today. And I know lots of children who would never even think that they might not have access to it. I know lots of adults who would not stand to see a European child without access to those things. It's worlds apart. But if you ever want to ensure that you're going to live your life consciously, then you have to live praying unceasingly. And if you're going to live praying unceasingly, I really say to you, go, try and live by praying unceasingly. And you'll realize the only way to do that is to be here, to be present, to be fully conscious, non-judgmental, with a heart full of gratitude for that which you are experiencing without judgment in every passing moment of your day. God bless, guys. Bye.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, as it really helps us to grow the channel and with it help more children here in Tanzania. Also, don't forget you can support our work by sharing with children in crisis here, be it sharing for a particular need or even sharing one-on-one support for education, housing, food and medical care. It can be done for as little as the cost of a cup of coffee a week back in the West after all. Just visit www.sharetanzania.co.uk to find out more. Lastly, remember you can also support us via Patreon, www.patreon.com/featherstail, and help keep us here in Tanzania to continue our work. The links for the website and for the Patreon are in the description box of this video. Love and light, guys. See you soon.